and even great, which are not done for me alone, are like gold that is muddy and full of rust, which does not shine, and I do not so much as look at them. And Lord, how easy it is for our actions to be dirtied with dust. And one should not care about dust, because it can be shaken off, but what one must care about is the intention. Now, while we were saying this, Jesus was busy binding my arms. I said to him, "Oh please, Lord, what are you doing?" And "I am doing this because when you are in that position of crucifixion, you come to placate me. And since I want to chastise the people, I am binding them." Having said this, he disappeared. November 10th, 1899. Obedience to the confessor. After going through quite a few days of differences with Jesus, I wanting to be released, and he not wanting it. Now he would make himself seen sleeping, now he would impose silence on me. Finally, this morning, as I saw him, I also saw the confessor who commanded me absolutely to have Jesus release me. And this, more than once, but Jesus would not listen. However, forced by obedience, I said to him, "My lovable Jesus, when have you ever opposed obedience? I am not the one who wants to be released. It is the confessor that wants you to make me suffer the crucifixion. Therefore, surrender to this virtue, so favored by you, which bejewels your whole life, and which formed the last link by connecting everything into one, the sacrifice of the cross. And Jesus, you really want to use violence on me, touching that link which connected divinity and humanity, and formed one single link, which is obedience." And while saying this, he assumed the appearance of the crucified, and almost forced by the priestly authority, he shared with me the pains of the crucifixion. May the Lord be always blessed, and may everything be for his glory. So it seems I was released. November 11th, 1899. Obedience prevents her from conforming to justice. As I was in my usual state, I found myself outside of myself, and it seemed I was going around the earth. Oh, how inundated it was with all sorts of iniquities. It is horrifying to think about it. Now, while going around, I arrived someplace and I found a priest of holy life, and in another place a virgin of blameless and holy life. We gathered, the three of us together, and we began to converse about the many chastisements that the Lord is sending, and about the many others that he keeps prepared. I said to them, "And you, what do you do? Have you perhaps conformed to divine justice?" And they, seeing the strict necessity of these times, and that man would not surrender even if an apostle came out, or if the Lord sent another Saint Vincent Ferrer, who might induce him to conversion with miracles and prodigious signs. On the contrary, seeing that man has reached such obstinacy and a sort of insanity that the very power of miracles would render him more incredulous, invested by this most strict necessity, for the good of men, in order to arrest this rotten seed that inundates the face of the earth, and for the glory of our God, so offended, we have conformed to justice. But we are praying and offering ourselves as victims, so that these chastisements may turn out for the conversion of the peoples. And you, what do you do? Have you not conformed with us? And no, I cannot, because obedience does not want it, even though Jesus wants me to conform. But since obedience does not want it, it must prevail over everything, and I am forced to be always in contrast with blessed Jesus, which afflicts me very much. And they, when it is obedience, surely one must not adhere. After this, finding myself inside myself, I saw dearest Jesus for just a little, and I wanted to know where that priest and that virgin were from, and he told me that they were from Peru. November 12th, 1899. Jesus allows Luisa to spare a chastisement. This morning my lovable Jesus came and transported me outside of myself, and I saw as if something was supposed to move from the heavens and touch the earth. I was so frightened that I screamed, and I said to him, oh please, Lord, what are you doing? How much ruin will come if this happens? You tell me that you love me, and then you want me to be frightened. You have seen it, haven't you? Don't do it. No, no. You cannot do it, for I do not want it. And Jesus, all compassion for me, told me, my daughter, do not fear. And then, when have you ever wanted me to do anything? I should not let you see anything when I chastise the people, otherwise you bind me everywhere. Well then, I will fortify your heart with fortitude, and I will make as though a trunk arise from it, so as to hold whatever you see still. And then I will pour so many graces in you as to be able to nourish myself and my children. At that moment, something like a trunk came out of my heart, with two branches at the top in the shape of a fork which, rising up in the air, would catch in between them anything that was about to move so that it would keep still in one single point. And far away it seemed to touch the earth. Afterwards, I found myself inside myself, and I prayed him to placate himself. And it seemed that he would quite surrender, so much so that he shared with me the pains of the cross. Then he disappeared. November 13th, 1899. Jesus suffers in seeing creatures suffer. Luisa offers herself to console him. This morning my adorable Jesus seemed to be restless. He would do nothing but come and go. Now he would spend time with me, and now, almost drawn by his most ardent love for creatures, he would go to see what they were doing, and with his whole self he would suffer with them, from that which they were suffering, as if he himself, and not they, were taken by those sufferings. Several times I saw the confessor forcing Jesus by means of his priestly authority to make me suffer his pain so as to be able to placate him. And while it seemed that he did not want to be placated, he would then show himself grateful, thanking wholeheartedly the one who was occupying himself with holding back his indignant arm, and so he would share with me now one suffering, now another. Oh, how tender and moving it was to see him in this state. He would make one's heart split with compassion. Quite a few times he told me, conform to my justice, for I can take no more. Ah, man is too ungrateful, and he almost forces me from all sides to chastise him. He himself snatches the chastisements from my hands. If you knew how much I suffer in making use of my justice. But it is man himself that uses violence on me. Ah, had I not done anything other than purchase his freedom at the price of my blood, he would still have to be grateful to me. But out of greater spite, he keeps inventing new ways to render my payment useless. While saying this, he was crying bitterly, and to console him, I said to him, my sweet good, do not afflict yourself. I see that your affliction is mostly because you feel forced to chastise the people. Ah, no, this will never be. If you are all for me, I want to be all for you. Therefore, you will send the chastisements upon me. Here is the victim, always ready and at your disposal. You can make me suffer whatever you want, and so your justice will be somehow placated, and you will be relieved from the affliction you feel on seeing creatures suffer. My intention has always been this, not to conform to justice, because if man suffers, you would suffer more than he does. While I was saying this, our Queen Mama came, and I remembered that as I had asked the confessor for the obedience to conform to justice, he had told me to ask the Most Holy Virgin whether she wanted me to conform. So I asked her, and she said to me, no, no, but pray, my daughter, and in these days try as much as you can to keep him with you and to placate him, because many chastisements have been prepared. November 17th, 1899. The priestly authority must concur with the victim. My lovable Jesus continues to make himself seen afflicted. This morning, our Queen Mama came together with him. and it seemed to me that she was bringing him to me so that I would placate him and pray to him together with her that he would make me suffer to spare the people. She told me that if in these past days I had not placed myself in between, and if the confessor had not made use of his priestly authority in concurring with his intentions of making me suffer, many catastrophes would have occurred. In the meantime, I saw the confessor, and immediately I prayed for him to Jesus and to the Queen Mother, and Jesus, all benignity, said, according to the measure in which he will take care of my interests, by praying me and also by committing himself to renewing his intention of making you suffer in order to spare the people, so will I take care of him and will spare him. I would be ready to make this pact with him. After this, I went about looking at my sweet and only good, and I saw that he was holding 2 lightnings in his hands. In one hand, as though quint, he had a strong